Warning! The following episode of Orsini's Uncensored Mind contains explicit language and adult content. The thoughts and opinions stated on this show are reflective of AJ Orsini, Deceive Dave, and their guest exclusively. Seriously, guys, my dada and uncle say some pretty crazy stuff. If it offends you, go be butthurt somewhere else.
Welcome to Orsini's Uncensored Minds, and now your host, AJ Orsini with Dave.
Hello, everybody out there. It's your boy, AJ Orsini, here with another episode of Orsini's Uncensored Mind, episode 334. Now, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things taking place right now. So let me just try to straighten this all out. And again, I apologize for the confusion. And don't let the intro to this show fool you. Dave is not with me at the moment. Dave was with me at our usual recording time, which was yesterday. This is being recorded on December 17th. It'll be released today, also on December 17th, which is Wednesday. We recorded yesterday like normal, and everything went well. We did the Christmas episode. It was myself, Deceive, Dave, and we were joined, of course, by our mainstay here at OUM Network, our Christmas buddy, Joe Pombo, Yoda, founder voice, tobeseen.com, the whole shebang. He was here with us yesterday. And so we're getting ahead of ourselves. I'm doing a lot of content right now this week, whilst still doing all the personal things that I'm going through and we're going through here at the house, so that the next few weeks for the holidays can be free and I'll still be able to get out the content that I really want to get out there. So that's why we're having so many moving parts. But as we get more specific, yesterday's episode that we recorded is the Christmas episode that will be released next Tuesday, the 23rd. So if you're watching this right now, I just recorded this today, but we recorded yesterday for the future. It buys me a week to head to where we're going to head to and travel to where we're going to travel to take care of our family business. So I just needed some leeway. So we've cut up all the shorts. We've scheduled everything we need to schedule, except for this episode, which I need to cut up now and edit and do all that fancy stuff. And that'll be good to take care of family business. So Christmas episode will speak for itself. You guys will be able to check that out next week. But what will we be talking about here today?
Hey, what's going to be on the show today?
What's going to be on the show today will be very abbreviated. I don't mean it's going to be a short show. What I'm saying is that I'm not going to be speaking to you alone here the whole time. So there are some topics I'd like to talk to you guys about here. This is my first time doing the camera deal all by myself. I usually have a buddy or my wife on the other end of this camera, but none were available. It's just me today. You're stuck with just the original voice, the Orsini's Uncensored Mind, the man himself, AJ Orsini. So as far as this show is concerned today, there are some things that I want to talk about. There's Mick Foley, Rob Reiner, and Donald Trump somehow on the same newscast all at the same time. We'll talk more specifics about that, what that means. I'm also going to run down exactly what took place on Saturday night's main event this past Saturday in Washington, D.C., which leads me to something that I have to explain, because today's main event will be the John Cena final match conversation. We're going to break down all things John Cena in that match, what took place, how it went down, how it was received by the audience, where we can go from here. That was all discussed yesterday. The reason why we discussed it yesterday is because I felt like this topic needed more voices than just me. I put some brilliant minds behind this, and we really hashed everything out. So we recorded that yesterday, but it will be the main event of this show. You're not going to see it next week. Next week is all Christmas related. It's a whole Christmas episode. We did the wrestling talk specifically yesterday to be put on this week's episode. We didn't want to wait a week for you guys to get to it. We're doing it this week. So I'll be talking with you guys for short term here. And then as we segue into the main event, I'm taking you to some footage that we recorded for the Christmas episode yesterday. That means that I'm going to be in my full Christmas regalia. So are the guys. We're going to have the decorations out. It's going to be a whole shebang, a whole shindig, a whole thing. So you'll get a sneak peek, I guess, of Christmas episode here tonight for the main event. So we're talking triple threat of lunacy. We're talking Saturday night main event. And of course, we're talking about the main event here. We're talking about John Cena's final match in WWE. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's get right to it.
Dave, it's time to start the show. Let's begin with segment 1.
Segment 1, we're here to talk about Mr. Rob Reiner. Now, I'm old enough. I'm 42 years old. I was born in 1983, and even then, it was in syndication. But I'm old enough to remember old Meathead from All in the Family. That's where I remember Rob Reiner from. That's where my memory is, the long-haired hippie guy from All in the Family with Archie. I told my wife that. I said, you remember Archie from All in the Family? The long-haired son? The blonde-headed sister? And then I hit her with the wife who used to have that voice, the gravelly voice. Those were the days. And she went, oh, okay, yeah. It's an iconic sound that everyone remembers if you're either from that era or close to it, like I was. I was close to that era. I was born in the early 80s. So I remember that show, and I remember him more than anything else on that show, with the exception of maybe Archie himself. I remember him. But for those of you who don't remember All in the Family, and I'm sure most of you who are watching this don't, he also went from actor to director. Actually became a director for one of some of the biggest films in cinematic history, believe it or not. I have a list in front of me of some freaking knockdown, drag out films that he's directed. These are iconic films. This is Spinal Tap, 1984, Stand By Me in 1986, masterpiece, The Princess Bride in 1987. If you're a wrestling fan, The Princess Bride is in your catalog. I'm just saying. When Harry Met Sally, 1989. Who will ever forget the orgasm scene, huh? Misery, 1990. One of my all-time favorite movies is Misery. It really is. Kathy Bates. A Few Good Men in 1992. So he's got some hits here. He's got a resume. This guy's known throughout the industry here. However, his legacy is going to be marred a little bit by this ending. He was found, him and his wife, who I want to make sure I get the name right, Michelle Singer Rayner, who they were found on Sunday. They were found dead in their home. That was the original reporting, that they were found dead in their home, and found dead turned into found murdered. Then it turned into a suspicious, or we're looking for a suspect situation. Then they arrested Nick Reiner, who is their son, and now we're learning that he is being charged with the murder of his parents. And apparently it all stemmed from a conversation or an argument, disagreement, however you want to decipher it, that was taking place at Conan O'Brien's party. It was a party that Conan O'Brien was throwing, and there was a heated debate. The debate continued on into the evening, into the home, and it turned into the worst possible scenario for that situation. So Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Rayner, I keep saying the two names differently. I don't know why. Rob Reiner, Michelle Singer Reiner. I don't know why I keep saying it different for her. It's not French. I don't know why I'm doing that. But yeah, they were found dead in their home on Sunday, and now it is Nick who is being taken in by Southern California, Los Angeles Deputy Police Chief Alan Hamilton told reporters that he is being held without bail until an arraignment can be had. They're looking to give him life. If the court finds him guilty, he could be spending the rest of his life in prison. Not much is known about Nick Reiner. They said that he has a history of battling addiction, which reportedly began when he was a teenager in 2016. And he's been dealing with it. He's been in and out of rehab pretty much since then. And say what you want about people in recovery. It does. They put that in the news article to give you an indication of what that history is like, but as someone who was raised in that atmosphere, just because you have an addiction issue does not necessarily mean that you're guaranteed to be killing anyone anytime soon. So I don't know why they put that in there, other than the fact that they're trying to make sense of the whole situation. Because what person would absolutely go out of their way to try to murder their own parents? So now we transition from Rob Reiner to Donald Trump. Now, we don't do a lot of politics here. As a matter of fact, we try to do absolutely none of it if I could have it. I don't do politics on here because it's a waste of everybody's goddamn time, including mine. I don't give a shit what this guy does or has to say. But it connects to something that I do care about, and it connects to someone that I actually care about. So I'm going to bring it up. After the death of Rob Reiner, here is a tweet that was presented by Donald Trump. He tweeted this, or his people, however you want to characterize his tweets. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away. Together with his wife Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. I don't think anybody refers to it as that, but that's what he said. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. And with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace. I don't think I've ever I didn't write this. I don't think I've ever read a paragraph that long when a simple fuck you, you deserved it would have sufficed. That would have been plenty, I think, which is basically what he wrote in that entire paragraph. He took an opportunity to use someone's death to promote whatever it is that he's got going on with the administration. And so this has come across a lot of people as very distasteful, but it's Trump. When is he not doing something that's distasteful? So after Trump made his comments, it led a former WWE superstar and a current WWE Hall of Famer to make his remarks. So Mick Foley tweeted out, parting ways with WWE. Actually, now that I'm looking at, is that Twitter? I think that's more like Facebook. While I have been concerned about WWE's close relationship with Donald Trump for several months, especially in light of his administration's ongoing cruel and inhuman treatment of immigrants and pretty much anyone who looks like an immigrant, reading the president's incredibly cruel comments in the wake of Rob Reiner's death is the final straw for me. I no longer wish to represent a company that coddles a man so seemingly void of compassion as he marches our country towards autocracy. Something like that. Autocracy? Autocracy? Last night, I informed at WWE's Talent Relations that I would not be making any appearances for the company as long as this man remains in office. Additionally, I will not be signing a new Legends deal when my current one expires in June. I love WWE, will always treasure my time with them, and I am deeply appreciative of all the opportunities they afforded me. But in the words of Popeye the Sailor, I stands all I could stands, and I can't read the bottom, but I think is I can't stands no more. And let me take this ticker off. Oh, look at that. Spoiler. That's what it was. So let's remove that. So why are we bringing this up? Oh, AJ, I thought you don't do politics. Well, I'm not doing politics. This conversation has nothing to do with politics. It's got everything to do with morals and ethics. And Mick Foley is exercising his right to remain as moral or good moral, have good morals and good standards, even in his later years. For everyone who's giving him flack for his stance, that's his stance. Now, someone brought it to my attention, and it's a very good point, that I also didn't have a problem. Just like I don't have a problem with Mick Foley making this decision. I didn't have a problem with the comedians who went to Saudi Arabia, which people were like, well, why would you be in support of that? That's messed up. They shouldn't be going to Saudi Arabia and giving them their time and their effort. And, oh, they're selling out for money and all this other stuff. Well, money's great. Yeah, not for nothing. But I think there's a very specific difference between the two. And I bring up the Saudi Arabia thing in because of this comparison. The comedians going to Saudi Arabia If you want to say anything about their government, I think that's fair game. You can criticize them all that you want, but not everybody in Saudi Arabia supports the Saudi Arabian government. Not everybody there supports the habits or supports their means of the control or whatever it is that they're doing at that time. There are some innocent people there. And if they're going to get paid, I'm referring to the comedians out the wazoo to perform for people just like that. And people are going to say, well, they're not all going to be there, AJ. There's going to be the government that does these things to people. They'll be there too. And there are people who live there that support them. And that's fine. That's fine. They'll probably be there. But at least you can make the argument it's scattered. There's going to be people there who are completely innocent of any wrongdoing, and then there's people who aren't. You got to take the good with the bad in that situation. Is it worth the money? I guess it depends on your morals and standards. Mick Foley isn't taking a stance against a country of people, isn't taking a stance against an autocracy. I'm going to figure out what that word is. It's a stand on one individual. A one individual where we have receipts. Mick's not challenging this individual. If anything, he's leaving this individual completely out of the equation with the small factor of WWE's relationship. Now, WWE has always had relationships with presidents in the past. Clinton, Obama, Bush, they have always had relationships with people in the White House, people within government for years and years and years and years. And of course, TKO is going to be no different. Every high-level business that's worth anything is going to have some connections to the government, some connections especially to the White House. But what makes this particular situation so different is, for whatever reason, this particular president has brought out such an array of emotions from the American people that it just seems like there's this really hard line in the sand. And, you know, back in the day, I used to hear debates and arguments all the time about Bush, about Clinton, about Obama, just policies and their morals and their standards, and questioning them as presidents and questioning them as people. And they absolutely used to, I never heard of a president ever that 100% had the approval rating of every single individual in the country. It's never happened. There's always been people that have been split on presidencies, but this particular one seems to be a very hard line. And there doesn't seem to be any two sides about it. You're either on a side, his side, or you're on the other side. And it seems to be pretty radicalized amongst people, which is another reason I said before, we don't do politics on the show, because I don't give a fuck about either side, to be honest with you. One day I'm on one side, one day I'm on the other. Who fucking knows? Who knows? It depends on the situation. It depends on the situational stuff, right? So Mick Foley has made his choice. I don't want to be anywhere near the Trump administration. I don't want to be in any sort of association, even though he's not directly associated. He doesn't want to represent a company as an ambassador, which is what those contracts are. It's what WWE Legend contracts are. When they make appearances, they're making appearances as former WWE superstars under the WWE umbrella. And he doesn't want to stand under the umbrella of someone that's cascading protection over an individual who is undeserving of it, or at least that's his opinion, that Donald Trump is unfit to be in the position that he's in. The fact that a company like WWE partakes in engaging in a relationship with that individual only really shows that the WWE is, I wouldn't say complicit, but they're right there. They have no problem. It's not a deal breaker for them, the behavior that happens at with the presidency. You know, if ICE agents came to a WWE event, I doubt very seriously that they would intervene at all. They would just be par for the course. So Mick Foley has made a decision where he's just not going to represent a company anymore that partakes in that sort of thing. Jim Cornette has stepped up and commented also on Mick Foley's want to, not be associated with a company that is involved with Donald Trump at all whatsoever. And I noticed in the tweet, if we were to pull that tweet back up, it states that very specifically he doesn't want to represent a company that represents him and refuses to return, or at the very least, until Trump's no longer in office, which after this term, he's not going to be able to go back into office ever again anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So Mick's at least leaving the door open for that. I don't know if WWE and TKO are taking this as a slight or if they're taking this as an understanding entity and simply says, okay, if when he leaves, if we want to revisit, we'll revisit. And then there are those that are criticizing Mick because technically speaking, he is under contract still until June. And I said, well, you're under contract, so you got to do what you got to do. And I keep telling you people, that is not how contracts work. That is not how contracts work at all. You don't own a human being when you have a contract. I've had this conversation on this show a bajillion times. Are there legal ramifications? Sure. If WWE really wanted to push the issue, they could sever ties with Mick Foley financially. They could say, well, if he's made the decision not to work, then we're going to execute our right to terminate the contract. We don't owe him any more money, or we don't have him tied up. There's also the legal ramification of suing an individual and forcing them to pay some of that money back for not fulfilling their end of the contract. But there's no gun to a human being's head. You can't put a shotgun to the back of Mick's head and do this goddamn appearance and we get our cut. Can't make anybody do anything. That's not how contracts work. Contracts are an agreement between two individuals that this is where we're going. This is what we're going to do. Contracts get breached every day. Every day. If WWE had found a way to breach this contract and get him out of contract, there wouldn't have been any clamor at all. But because it's Mick doing it, because it's the subordinate doing it, because it's the employee doing it, it drives people nuts. And which is ironic because it drives people who are employees nuts. What the fuck do you care about the situation at all? But it is what it is. Here at Orsini's Uncensored Mind, we support Mick Foley 100%. If that's the decision you're going to make, and that's your standard, and that's your morals are being enacted here, 10 toes down, I'm with you. It takes balls to do that, to be honest with you. It takes balls to do that. There's a lot of people that say all the time that not all money is good money. Well, here's another firm, fine example of exactly that. Not all money is good money. And Mick Foley has decided that WWE money at this point in time is not good money. I'm sure the door will be opened down the line if there are other opportunities to be explored. Just because he's no longer under contract to WWE doesn't mean he's not still a WWE legend and a WWE Hall of Famer. And it doesn't mean that he still can't be, acknowledged as one. It doesn't mean that his accomplishments and everything that he's given to the industry, which is a hell of a lot more than a lot of people that are criticizing him right now, is going to be ignored or swept under the rug. He's still Mick Foley. It's like when the Dudley Boys went to TNA and became Team 3D. On paper, they're Team 3D, but those are the Dudley Boys. It doesn't go away just because a document says that it must. That's not how life works. That's not how this whole thing works at all. So contracts be damned. This is the situation that they're in. And Mick Foley has made a decision. So kudos to him. Much respect to Mick and his decision-making process. And he's standing firm on it. To take you back to that Saudi Arabia conversation, when I said I didn't have a problem with comedians going to Saudi Arabia, I also didn't have much of a problem with the comedians who chose not to go. I had a problem with them ripping the other comedians because what the fuck do you care? But the Mark Marons, the Shane Gillises, who decided, you know what, that's money I really don't need, and that's not really something I want on my resume, that I did something like that. All the support in the world. I just didn't like shitting on the other comedians. You made your decision, they made theirs. It's the same situation here. There's people in the industry that are supporting Mick Foley, and then those in the industry that are tearing him down. Get over yourself, that type of deal. We don't need to rip anybody. They made their decision. Same as you. You made your decision to stand on the side of the line that you did. They made their decision to stand on the side of the line that they did. And that's why I don't get into this shit, because you're never right and you're never wrong. You're just floating along. That's all that it really is. It's all that it ever really is with people, especially when it comes to politics. That's why you can't talk. People who are heavy into politics, you can't tell them shit. There's a reason and there's a root cause and there's a problem with everything. Everything. Always. So, not even a whole deal. So, that's the situation with Mick. That's the situation with Rob Reiner. That's the situation with Donald Trump. And so let's talk a little bit about Saturday night's main event.
Let's keep this show going. It's time for segment 2.
Segment 2. Saturday night's main event took place in Washington, D.C., and all of the hullabaloo, all of the conversation, all of the scuttlebutt was about the final match, the end of the farewell tour for John Cena as he walks into a match with Gunther to end his illustrious career. Now, before we can get to John Cena and Gunther, there were 3 matches that took place beforehand. So we're going to talk a little bit about that because we didn't get a chance to talk about that when we talked about John Cena's match, which is the main event of tonight's show, the clip that we did yesterday. We focused really on just John. So I wanted to do something here this week to talk a little bit about the show itself, Saturday night's main event. First and foremost, that is a beautiful building. I always got to start there. I love venues. I love them. I've always loved them. Whenever I go to shows, whether it be a small local show or a big WWE event, I'm always fascinated by the venues, by the people that work there, especially the people that work there. I think I've said this on the show before, but I always feel bad for like security guards and ticket takers and concession stands people who don't watch wrestling. And then here comes a whole building full of wrestling fans, and it's got to be just the weirdest shit ever. They're cheering for people you've never heard of. They're going crazy, crying, screaming, excited for people you've never seen before. It must be a really awkward feeling. It would be like if someone doesn't follow basketball and they go to the Garden, and all of a sudden, every now and then, you'll hear a "Whoa!" Oh, yeah, and you don't know what it's about. You just, all right, they put the ball in the hole. That's the objective of the game. So I feel so bad for these people when they go to wrestling events like that. The Saturday night's main event, apparently Jesse Ventura was back, but they put him on the pre-show this time. They kept him far away from the program. They're not going to allow him to fuck this up. And still managed to get some stupid shit out there. He made the comment about, John Cena. John Cena's won the world title 17 times. That means he's lost it 17 times. I don't know if I'd go around bragging about that. Yeah, I wouldn't brag about 17 losses either. I would definitely brag about 17 wins, though, which is kind of the point. It's great fodder for a heel promo, and he's been a heel his whole life. But, yeah, 17 championships does sound very fucking impressive. It's like the Yankees have won 27 world titles. Well, they didn't win the other 80. So what are we talking about? What a shitty flex. No, 27 championships is still pretty fucking impressive. And that's coming from a Met fan. 27 championships is pretty fucking impressive. So you can't take away the wins just because there was some losses. That's just weird. But I remember that very same argument being used a few times back in the old days. Jerry the King Lawler, as a matter of fact, I think suffered the wrath of that very comment on a few occasions. So take that with what you will. But our opening contest for this show is Cody Rhodes defending the WWE Championship. I refuse to call it undisputed because it's not undisputed. But he's the WWE Champion, and he is defending the title. No, he wasn't defending the title. It was a non-title match, actually, against the NXT Champion. That's why. Oba Femi. And that entrance is fire. There's nothing to it. There's some lights, but he's the centerpiece of that entrance with the light on his back and the whole and the walk. Ding, 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 hey, yeah. This dude is the man. I love it. This dude is the man. I love this dude. And I recently heard an interview, I think when he first started at the Performance Center, where he wasn't using the accent. He was just speaking like normal. And then you hear the accent, and it sounds so good. This is what they were trying to get Apollo Crews to do, and he wasn't built like that. He's a great athlete. He can't go out there and be Nigerian. This guy is Nigerian, for real. He doesn't use the accent naturally, of course, but he's got the roots, he's got the lineage, and then he's got the accent down. He's the ruler of NXT. And they, Cody and Oba went out there, and they had a match. It wasn't crazy. But now that, hindsight being 20 with the finish, because Drew came out and got involved. So they weren't going to put too many eggs in the basket. I think that was more of a test to see if Oba was going to get overwhelmed by the moment, so to speak. And I don't think that he was. I think he did pretty good. I think if you had a story involved between Oba and Cody, it would be a much different type of match. I think it would have gone differently. I think it would have had a different vibe to it. More importantly, I think it would have been more of a focus. I think people were more into the idea of seeing Obafemi perform as opposed to Oba versus Cody in a grudge match to settle it all. So I think there's, I'm not saying they should have done that for this show. I think what they did was exactly what they were supposed to do. It was an introductory match. Here's Obafemi. He's on the come up. You guys are going to be seeing him on SmackDown or Raw very, very soon. That's all that it really was. So it was good. It was also good how well they showcased his power, his strength, which is his calling card, standing up to Drew McIntyre, giving him the old shove, letting everybody know, putting everybody on notice that Obafemi's coming down the chute. Good situation for Oba. It wasn't too crazy about the match, but a great situation for Obafemi. It was a great debut. Accidental juice by Cody Rhodes. Accidental juice, but Cody's a professional. We're good to go. Which leads us to the second match. Bayley and Sol Ruca. And look, Dave's not here, but Dave recently said that he's kind of back on Bayley. He got his break. She disappeared a little bit, which I know people get upset about. She wasn't at WrestleMania, and she wasn't at SummerSlam, and she wasn't on Survivor Series, and they're not using her, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing. I know people don't understand that, but trust me, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You take a break on somebody. As Cornette once said, how can I miss you if you won't go away? It's just take a break, come back. And she didn't go away completely. A Raw match here and a special appearance here and a backstage thing here. She's still working, just not in the ring all the time on the big shows. But this was a particularly big show, and Bayley was on it against Sol Ruca. And I got to tell you, folks, I have no issue with Sol Ruca as a human being. She looks like a wonderful person. I'm happy for her that she's in the WWE. I don't know if it's a dream of hers because based on her background, I don't see why it would be. But she's a crazy athlete. Crazy athlete. She is physically fit. She is capable of doing so many things. It's ridiculous. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the in-ring work. Now, I just found out on the show that she's been doing this for 3 years, no prior experience, so my level of expectation lowered, right? Once I learned that fun fact, then I kind of, okay, all right, no, this makes sense now. Okay, that's why she looks the way that she looks. All right, so I'm not sitting here getting ready to trash her. I don't like the finish. I get the idea. It's a spectacular looking move. It's not a very commonsensical move. It's just not a very, I don't use the word fake, but it's unrealistic that someone, every time she executes it, she's just doing a flip. The other person, every single time, has to move into it or bow into it or step forward into it. Or in certain cases, when she kind of over rotates and she's almost in a sitting position, now you got to back up. The person taking it has to time the move. It's not the person giving the move. The person taking it has to time it. And if they don't time it, if she does the flip and she brings her arm up and there's no head there, it just looks wonky. It's so weird. I'm not a fan of the fucking move at all. A fan of her athleticism, for sure. She does a lot of cool stuff in the ring. I don't really consider her much of a wrestler. There's not a lot of in-ring that you look at and you go, okay, well, that's pretty cool. She does that and she flies? That's crazy. No, she just flies. Just a high flyer. That's it. And we got a lot of those, so it is what it is. But this match is no good, and this match is no good because this is the first time these two meeting. One of them is an outlandish athlete. The other one is more of a ring technician. It's a clash of styles. That's all that really was. I don't think either one's bad. The clash of styles. The match was not good at all. And then, Soul Snatcher at the end, Soul Roku with the win is huge. You think it's huge for Soul for sure. A win against Bailey, a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah, it's a big goddamn win. But we bring her back to NXT. Let's get some time on the clock. Let's let this thing marinate a little bit. We'll see what happens. Decent match. Wasn't overly impressed with Soul Roka, but it's again like the Obafemi deal where it's just like, here's the presentation, here's the introductory, and now we move on. And we move on to a tag team match. AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, which the internet's calling them AJ Lee, which I get it. It's funny. Ha 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 ha. How has no one stumbled on the Phenomenal Dragons yet? I don't understand how that is not a thing. The Phenomenal Dragons is awesome. I don't know how that hasn't happened yet. But I digress. It hasn't happened yet. So the Tag Team Championship for Raw, the World Tag Team Champions, AJ Styles, I almost said Lee, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee for the World Tag Team Championship, defending against Javon Evans and Leon Slater, the TNA X Division Champion. And while I appreciate that AJ Styles once again stands in the ring across from the X Division Champion, is a cool moment, but this situation confuses me. They're using Leon an awful lot. And I get that he's athletic, and I get that he's great in the ring, but he's not yours. It's almost like they've made Leon and Javon a tag team without putting them actually together, because they can't. That contract is going to hold them up. Now, I'm assuming that they have this situation going because there's got to be some talk that Leon Slater at some point is going to be a WWE superstar at some point, but he's still bound by that contract. So outside of those facts, the fact that they're using Leon Slater as often as they are, still a pretty decent match. I know everyone points to the botch by AJ, the slip on the rope. That's a rarity, and so rare, in fact, that I thought maybe it was a work. But it was never acknowledged or picked up ever again. So it was weird. But they hot shot it right from the beginning. Jump start. Boom. Everybody over the top rope. This was, on paper, it looked like it was going to be a great high-flying match, and they tried to deliver just that. They tried to deliver a great high-flying, high-impact style of wrestling, and it worked pretty good. I got to say. It was a pretty good match. Slip aside, it was still a really good match. I got to see 4 of my favorites today go at it, so I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. Which now leads us to the main event of the show, which was John Cena and Gunther, and I don't have to touch it because that's the main event, our show right now. Coming up next, that conversation between me, Deceive Dave, and Joe Pombo talking about John Cena's final match. We get into the specifics, we get into all that in the very next segment. But before we leave here and head over to the Christmas episode, I want to take this time to thank everybody who's been helping out with the show, everybody who's been supporting the show, checking out the shorts, checking out the segments, liking and subscribing and sharing on social media, really helping the show get its name out there. I want to take this time to thank you guys for everything that you guys have done for me, for the show, for Dave, for the families involved, because it's not just us. I have to take time out to do this. Dave has to take time out to do this. That means our wives have to, face the frozen tundra alone for several hours while we sit here and jibber jabber about sports and pro wrestling and music and movies. So, the whole family has to make sacrifices to make this passion project work. So for everybody out there who's taking the time to help support while we do that, thank you guys so much. It really is important to me, and it really is important to a lot of us that you guys are helping out as much as you are. So thank you guys for chiming in, man, and being a part of the squad of O. I love you guys. I've loved you guys for years. I will continue to love you for the rest of my goddamn life. Fun times. So up next, John Cena in the final match is our main event for this program. Next week will be the Christmas episode, which is already locked and loaded and ready for you guys to consume. The shorts will be out starting this week. So you're going to get a sneak peek in what we talked about on the show before it actually airs on Tuesday. So stay tuned to the YouTube channel. Take a look at those shorts and some of the stories that we talk about. We're teasing them there, and then you guys will get the whole segment starting on Tuesday. And then we have scheduled videos throughout Christmas leading up to the New Year's. I have some family business to take care of for the next 2 weeks, essentially. So Dave and I will be back in this chair again on in 2 weeks, just before the start of the new year. It's back. I think we're releasing our after Christmas episode on New Year's Eve. So we're going to try to get one last one in before we close out 2025 and welcome in 2026. There's so much that is happening even now as we speak that we got to talk about. We talked about Netflix and Warner Brothers and how Paramount Plus just jumped on board to try to get something going. It just got denied by Warner Brothers. They don't want nothing to do with Paramount. We need to talk about this. That happened. GTA 6 is still a thing that hasn't happened yet. Marvel has had a leak. All of their trailers are hitting the internet before they're allowed to. Camera footage. Kevin Feige's hair is on fire. There's so much going on. So I'm going to let all those stories develop so that when we come back at the end of the month, we'll have a full-fledged idea of what we're talking about. And so keep following along. Keep staying tuned. We got so much more coming up. 2026 is going to be a banger year for us. I got those independent spotlight interviews going. I'm going to start bringing in some other talent for you guys to learn more about and listen to and get to know. There's so many things happening. We got the Royal Rumble conversation coming up for the Royal Rumble in January, which takes place in Saudi Arabia. So many things going down. Thank you for supporting us so far. We're not going to let you down. We're going to keep giving you guys the best content we could possibly give you. 100% truth, 100% uncensored here at OUM Network. So I'm not going to give you guys the end line because we're not done. Next up, the main event, John Cena's final match.
It is now time for the main event of the evening.
We're going to get into the only wrestling portion of this show is the wrestling topic of the week. It's the only thing anybody is talking about. We're going to get into it here. It's the John Cena conversation. Now, here's the deal. Because I couldn't...
Wait, can I hit my thing?
Yeah, sure. Can't hear it, but... Oh, we couldn't hear it.
Oh, motherfucker.
Because of our family arrangements set up for next week, we're doing the Christmas episode 1 week earlier. It's December 16th right now as we're recording it. So this
the opposite of my show 1 week later.
Yeah, we're 1 week earlier. So this will be airing next week on the 23rd. However, this John Cena conversation is very topical right now. So here's what we're going to do, folks. What we're about to record right now is going to air tomorrow on the 17th, but the rest of it is for Christmas week. Oh. So it's going to look a little funny. Joe's going to be on back-to-back episodes, apparently.
Hell yeah.
All in one sitting. So, but we're going to get to it all here. We're going to have a lot of fun doing it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to pull this up now. Let's get into our first topic of the evening. And of course, I wanted to start off strong. Let's start off big here. Let's talk about John Cena's final match. So much to talk about when it comes to this. And for the sake of conversation, because I feel like we were going to have plenty to talk about when it comes to this topic, what I don't want to do right now is I think there will be time on another episode where we're going to be able to break down what happened for the retirement tour. I think there's plenty to talk about. There's plenty to break down as far as how the whole farewell tour took place. By the way, I will not forget that the farewell tour for me began in the house of Pombo 1 year ago, which my son is now asking if we can go back to your house.
Really?
My son was like, that was fun. Can we go back over there? So we'll see. But
you're always welcome, buddy.
The farewell tour has come to an end officially. There'll be time and place for that. We will get to that. But I think for the sake of this conversation, because I feel like there's a lot to talk about here, John Cena's final match took place this past Saturday as we were recording. It's John Cena versus Gunther.
Kunta.
One. First and foremost, Dave. I want to start with you, Dave. Dave.
Well, I want to first before you do,
Okay.
because I have my thoughts about the match.
Right.
So I didn't watch it when it happened. I had to watch
Fair.
it later.
Great.
But
Fair enough.
I
Same.
think it was Sunday,
Same
my
for
wife
peeking.
was just. We were watching some. We were finishing Has Been Hotel. That's what it was. We were finishing.
Okay.
Has Been,
Worthy
And-
trade. Go ahead.
and she gets on her phone, and she's like, "Oh, what the?" She's like, "Oh, that's crazy with John Cena." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, "Oh, everyone's going crazy," and I'm like, "Crazy about what?" She goes, "You didn't see it." I'm like, "Of course not. You're fucking with me. I'm watching what you're watching. Of course, I didn't fucking see it." She's like, oh, "Okay, then I'll stop talking just in case like you want to see this." And then she keeps reading to herself, making reactions. So now I'm getting annoyed. So I'm like, "Okay, wait, what happened?" So I watched it, but I don't know what the controversy is. So if we can start there, because I want to know
Okay.
what people are saying, so that
So
I
let
can
me-
gather my thoughts.
Okay, so let me do one of those short version recaps real quick. All it really is, it was an episode on Saturday night's main event that featured only 4 matches. They were the 4th match, and it was basically a fellatio fest all night. Memories of John Cena, celebrities were giving tribute, wrestlers were giving tribute, legends were giving tribute. And it all led to the eventual end match between Gunther and John Cena. Gunther with the first entrance, John Cena to the monster pop. Everybody's in love. It's a whole thing. It's a happening, as Joe Gorilla Monsoon would say. The whole front row littered with Hall of Famers. He's hugging, he's high-fiving. It was a whole deal. They went out there for 23 minutes, and in my opinion, had a really good match.
It was a very John Cena match.
Yes, of course it was. It wasn't going to be anything else other than that.
Yeah,
But
it was a very John
The
Cena match.
controversy
Mhm.
stems
Let's hear
from it was the tap out.
He's smiling.
The tap out was a big issue for people, and it was an issue for people. And I said something in the moment as it was happening on social media, despite the tap out and despite people having their displeasure. My comment only really is that I felt like Washington, D.C. went into business for themselves at the wrong moment. They were pissed about the finish. Fair. I can't take that from you. It's how you feel. But the match ended with a tap out to no pop, no sound, visible confusion, some anger, not a
'Cause he was
smile.
smiling. He
Not
was
a
like,
smile. John was the only one smiling in the building.
yeah,
And so I guess the plan for this match at the end of it is that once the match was over and Gunther was announced the winner, Gunther was going to patter out and the locker room would clear out into the ring and celebrate John Cena. And the first person out of the curtain was Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, which led to a tremendously loud
It was huge.
set of boos. They were, man, did I save that snapshot? Hold on 1 second, because I want to
Oh my
be
God.
absolutely clear as to what it was.
But if you watch the video clip on YouTube from WWE, they're saying Bautista.
Oh, yeah.
Batista. They really wanted
Boot.
Batista.
They really wanted Batista. They're very disappointed.
Yeah, they were disappointed that Batista didn't show back.
I like to see if I could get the screenshots. No, it's not my screenshots. All right, I didn't save it. But yeah, they were saying they were chanting "You fucked up."
Yeah.
They were chanting bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
They were chanting. Some of them were very creative. They said "You bald fuck." There was a lot of very creative. Oh, AEW chant.
Oh yeah,
Was
yeah,
an
yeah.
Wow, disrespect.
So now that you know what the controversy is about, where's your head with all of this?
I think it's fucking stupid. I think it's absolutely stupid. The moment that as I'm watching the match now, unfortunately, I am about spoilers. I'm expecting something now. The fun is gone. I know something is coming. I just don't know what it is. So I'm watching it.
Right.
Classic Cena match, doing all his things. This is literally like, to me, Dead Man Walking. He's doing all his shit he's supposed to be doing. You know, I know, Joe knows, everyone knows how this is gonna end.
Yeah.
Not only
That's the thing. Whoa.
well,
That's part of the problem.
I understand that.
Not everybody in the room knew how it was going
I'm
to
getting
end.
there. I'm getting
Okay,
there.
go
What
ahead.
I'm saying is everyone knew how this was gonna go. There was no secret. John Cena is, if there's anybody who is gonna go out the traditional way you're supposed to go out, Cena's probably one of the few that I think is left that's gonna actually do it. So the fact that I was just looking to how he was gonna do it. So when he tapped, when they kept pushing on him, he just kept grabbing on him to the point where he was just done and he tapped out. When he tapped, to me, what I said was, okay, this is how they're going to do it, and I think it's smart. Because not only did they give Gunther the rub, but they basically are trying to erase his tap out thing. With him taking out Cena.
Gunther and Jey Uso?
Yes.
Okay.
And they kind of not take it out, but at least counter it, right? Like, to me, the only person that can really talk shit about that right now is Jey Uso. So as long as Jey doesn't bring it up, it's just gonna fade into the background, and he's now the guy who tapped Cena on his last match. So to me, it was not to say that that's how it was gonna happen, but that's a way to write in a way to kind of erase that tap. I thought him tapping to begin with was weird, Gunther. So this is a way to kind of like make that adjustment and move forward with it. And it's a good rub. We all thought Gunther was going to get it. He got it. I thought the match was great. And then everyone starts losing their fucking mind. And that's when I realized, oh, that's what the controversy is. These guys don't understand what it means to go out looking at the lights. So when I saw that, that's when I was like, all right, let's see what the guys think, because I know exactly where this is going now. I know what the problem is. And then they were booing Triple H like that. They just turned a moment that was supposed to be so special, so fucking nasty, basically.
Yeah, I thought it was in Philly.
It did have a Philly vibe. It did have a Philly vibe. Yeah.
See, at least it would have been acceptable there.
Exactly.
They would have been, oh, it's Philly.
Yeah, we get it.
They took away the joy of what this was supposed to be in my head, that end moment. But whatever, it is what it is.
And I felt like it was loud enough, but you could tell once it dissipated and they started really chanting and cheering for John, that it wasn't the whole building. There was a select number of people that wanted to make it clear to everyone involved that they wanted their voice heard and their displeasure registered.
It was enough.
Joe, where do you stand on the time and place?
I mean,
like, okay, they didn't like the finish. Fair. Was that the moment right then to voice that, or not?
I mean, like, listen, wrestling fans don't give a fuck, and if they get drunk enough, they really don't give a fuck. So maybe they waited to the last match. They were probably drunk as hell, and they let you know what's going on in their minds. Me, I'm like, that's how it's supposed to go. I was just surprised they did it on a Saturday night's main event. It's John Cena. I would have WrestleMania that up, baby. Like that'd have been WrestleMania 43 or 2 or whatever to the fullest.
Well, not 3. He's not going back to Saudi Arabia.
No. All right, so Vegas. Like for sure, I thought that would have been
Vegas. He'll do Vegas.
Yeah,
Vegas.
We'll get him in Vegas.
I'll go to Nevada.
Or maybe it's a swerve and he'll come back and be like, I can't go out like that and like whatever, get his revenge. And make
man, if he did that, they would really be throwing it on the bus.
That smile on his face. I've seen that before when someone worked for 30 years and they were retiring and that was their last day. That
is true.
I'm done. This is the last time another man will be grabbing me like this. Yeah, take me home, bro. I'm done.
That's right.
Fucking hang these.
And the thing is, it was it wasn't even like a desperation, like get him off me kind of. It was just
it was like, I'm going home now. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm done.
Goodbye.
I'm fucking done.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah. So just really quickly, and this will be quickly because when it happened and I saw the reaction, not just in the building but online. I had a promo for everybody that would have been wicked. But I've had time to think about it. We're recording this on Tuesday, the 16th, so it's been about 3 days, and I realized something. I caught myself. This is part of like a self-reflection, I guess, about myself as a person. And maybe the two of you can chime into this as well, because I'm in the industry, and very often, this happens a lot. I am often telling people who are not in the industry that you don't know anything about the industry. You think that you do because you've seen enough internet, you've seen enough interviews, you're able to piece things together based on what's given to you by the companies, and more than ever before, right? Back in the day, companies never told you anything. Now they tell you just enough to make you feel like you're on the inside. And that's part of the marketing. That's how they get you. They bring you in just a little bit by making you feel like you're a part of the process. But I have been very vocal on this show in saying that just because you watch a lot of the program doesn't mean that you're in the industry and that you know about the industry. So as mad as I was with the people, not just who went into business for themselves, but the people who legitimately got upset, got pissed, simply because he lost. Forget how. Because there are some people who are going to sit there and say, I expected him to lose, but what's with the tap out? We'll get there in a second. But the fact that they were mad that he lost at all, or the way that he lost, however people want to channel that anger, I was pissed at first. But now, I'm not so angry anymore. Actually, what I feel now is validation. These are fans. And for as much as we tell people as a fan you don't know, I can't be mad at them for reacting this way because you don't know what you're talking about. You're going based solely on the fandom. And our brains, as adults, as older adults actually, who've been watching this for so long, we remember a time period where John Cena being choked out and tapping out would have gotten a tremendous pop. They would have been like, oh, fucking great. Yes. Fuck this guy. I fucking hate this son of a bitch, especially the chick in the other room. She would have thrown a fucking fiesta if she would have been watching the show where
if he gave that up.
We grew up in an era where his respect was split down the middle. There were those who thought he sucked and those who thought he was great. The ones who thought he was great in his prime were the kids. Those kids are now the adults. They're the ones that you saw on camera on Saturday with the sad faces because they're childhood heroes. Remember, you have to look at it through the eyes of someone who has no inside knowledge. It's all fandom. And you look at them and those sad faces, and at first you want to say to yourself, that's ridiculous. You should know how this goes. But they don't. A lot of them don't. And I've been the first one. I've been the loudest one to say that they don't. So I can't come on here and cut a promo on anybody because you know what? If you're pissed that he lost, you have every right to be. If you're pissed that he tapped out, he says to never give up, and then he gave up. Great. You can feel that. I'm not going to say anything bad about any of it. You can have all of that. The only thing that I was asking was you didn't need to voice it in those first 10 minutes. Give the motherfucker his 10 minutes so that he could wave goodbye. If you notice, John didn't cut a goodbye promo.
Nope, he was
He
out.
played a package.
Mhm.
They gave him 2 belts to pose with. He took his little sketches off in the ring. He gave us the big salute, and he walked off into the sunset, and that was it. If you'd have held off on the booze for just 10 minutes, I wouldn't have given a shit. As soon as that camera cut off and John is gone and Triple H is heading to the post-show desk and you want to fucking let him have it, have at it. I got news for you. He doesn't give a fuck, but you can have at it.
I don't know that you kind of sold me on it right now, though, because now that you sold me on it, because now that you think about it, you're actually kind of right. This is a 180.
Yeah,
back when in his prime, if that would have happened, the reaction would have been the opposite.
Yeah.
They would have exploded that this
They
guy
would have
finally
been
took an
so
L, like
happy.
exploded.
Yeah.
And at the big, you said you don't want to do a rundown, and I'm not going to, but really quick, in the beginning of this whole thing, his whole shtick was, you guys didn't respect me. You didn't value me while I was here. And then only to get to the end, the thought of him losing, the boos are here now, but it's for a completely different reason.
And I don't want to get
Which is
ahead of
nuts.
ourselves. I don't want to get ahead of us because, like I said, we'll talk about the retirement tour
we'll dig
as
deeper
a whole.
another time.
We'll
but
dig
that's
deeper.
A good point, though.
But in my opinion, that's why it didn't work, because the promos he was cutting as a heel was not for the audience he was talking to. That promo fit 10 or 15 years ago. That audience would have given him so much heat because he would have been holding them accountable, and they don't like being held accountable. This audience, when he cut those promos, were looking at him like, what the fuck did I do? I didn't fucking do anything. I've been dick riding for 20 years. I haven't. No, Johnny, it wasn't me. And he points to his father. This old son of a bitch right here was the one booing you. It wasn't me. That's why it really didn't work, because the generation had changed. I saw a report that people were saying that backstage people were taken by surprise by the reaction to his loss. That for the older generation, they saw this as we saw it, as like almost like a movie ending, almost like cinema.
Curtain call.
But this current audience, it was the audience that cried at the end of Endgame. You took the ride. You took the ride for all this love.
I love you, 3,000.
When I actually know a guy who was a young teenager when the first Iron Man came out. He was in his mid-20s with a family when he died. He felt that. It's the same thing here. The kid in 2005 who did this with the towel and everything, it's now 2025. That child is now 20 years older, and he did not want to see his childhood hero tap out.
I get it.
That's where the logistics are. So that's why I pulled back, because I started thinking to myself, I can't point the finger at people and say, well, you should have known this was going to happen. They don't. You can't have it both ways. I think personally. I think as a performer, as people who are in the industry, you can't get mad at the fans for behaving like they aren't aware and then hold them outside the fence so that they are not aware. They didn't grow up in that system of, well, this is how it's supposed to be done. Ariel Helwani, who did a piece on this, and I praised him when he did the Tony Khan thing, but I got a swift kick in the ass here because he went on there and said that he didn't like the tap out, he didn't like the match. Again, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but when he sat there and said that the time-honored tradition of going out on your back is so 70s, so 60s, so outdated. No, fuck you.
It clicked to you?
No, it triggered the fuck out of me. Because Joe, I may be wrong on this, but we are not the only sport/entertainment system that has traditions. Am I wrong in saying that?
You're not wrong at all.
The man himself is an MMA reporter. Does MMA not have unwritten rules or subtle traditions that every fighter does? What is your opinion on that particular take? Do you believe that this is do you still believe that the time-honored tradition of going out on your back is a good thing or a negative thing?
It's a positive thing.
Even
because
for today's fans?
I'm not just cutting it at that, it's because I had indigestion, but
I'm old, damn it.
Give me a minute. I gotta catch my breath.
As an older person, go ahead.
No. I'm a long time wrestling fan. I was there when Piper went out of the lights in a weird way, but Piper, and Hogan kind of sort of, but he just kept coming back. He kept crawling back. But even Ric Flair, when he was 70,000 years old and finally retired, everybody does the deed, and they've got to go, and it's their time. They got to do it the right way. And woo! Ho, ho, ho!
I was gonna win that one, but I gained a few lbs. It's too tight.
Oh, I know how that feels. That's why I'm
gotta get the loose alien one on, dude. You gotta keep a loose alien one in your closet, dude.
Yeah, every now and then, just pop that.
That's why I'm wearing my Vegas shirt, not my CQ shirt. because wow, here and too many Christmas cookies at work.
There you go. Hold that thought.
Anyway, the point is, it's a time-honored tradition. Everybody that you loved, except for the Ultimate Warrior, did it because it not only is a precedence from way back when, like Bob Backlund and well, I mean, yeah, he was looking up at the lights, at a different level because he got tapped out. But we're talking about. I'll just go back to the 70s with our buddy Bob Backlund tapping out way back into the Iron Shiki Baby, and then Shiki Baby
humbled.
tapped out. Yeah, he got humbled and he got fucked in the ass, So
humble here.
Yes, I humbled. And then Hogan comes in and he takes out the Sheik and he takes out Andre, and Andre goes out looking at the lights. And Andre was a big deal. Andre was probably the most beloved wrestler in history to this day. And according to Bad News Allen, he's a little bit of a racist, but we'll get into that another time.
That's a great parallel you just made, actually, because a lot of the arguments that people had about John Cena tapping out is, well, he never taps out. His whole mantra is never give up. He would never tap out. Andre the Giant, on very rare occasions throughout his entire career, was ever pinned.
Yep.
Ever pinned. It had to be the right event with the right opponent, and yet still he went out on his own. He went out on his back. Still did it.
So
good job.
The greatest of the greats to the, even the Brooklyn Brawler. Speaking
of greats, there you go.
I mean, when you're a great jobber, you're still great at it,
The greatest jobber.
Yeah, of all time.
Except for my man got Barry Horowitz, actually.
Yeah, Barry Horowitz. Oh my God, that's but yeah, I mean, it's something that I can't let go. It's always going to be the case where, like, when you retire a jersey in basketball, you put it up in the arena where it started. We don't put that number on this team anymore. That's our tradition. It's the same thing in wrestling. Your sweaty guy lays down, and the bigger guy gets on top. That's
the bigger, younger guy.
The bigger, younger guy. Yeah,
the guy who's supposed to be carrying the company.
For
after
the future.
You're gone. Yeah,
right. Yeah. And I thought it was. I mean, I don't know if I'm skipping ahead, but when Gunther left on Raw this week, we're no segment on that. So
no, it's fine. You can talk about it.
All right. When he left, AJ is going to be retiring next year. That's the rumor mill. And Brock.
Yeah, somebody put together that little Mortal Kombat tower with all the villains on it.
That's great.
And he's like, he got past Goldberg, got past Cena, next is AJ, and then at the top of the pillar was Nikki Bella.
Nikki Bella! Oh my God, that's great. I can see her tapping her out too, man.
Well, that's going to be the toughest challenge yet.
She'll get lawyers. But when he went out, and then
that's going to be for the Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. It was a special event. So when he came up to AJ, I was waiting for him to say like "you're next" or something like that, but instead, he said did the "you can't see me" and drove off. But I'm like, yeah, I can see Gunther being like the legend killer as Randy Orton was, just to being the legend quitter, like making all these guys quit the business.
I heard that comparison with the legend killer, but what's funny? When Randy Orton was the legend killer, all he was really doing was beating people in matches. Gunther is sending people home.
Forever.
He's just not beating them in matches. He's taking their fucking life essence from them.
He's doing like quickening from Highlander.
Yeah. Your soul.
R.I.P.
I was gonna say shout out to him.
Shout out. Yeah.
Just recently passed away.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Dave, there's a big question going around as far as Gunther. Right, so we talked about the tournament on the show at the very, very beginning of it. We didn't touch on it after that first round because we had already called exactly how this was going to go, and it went verbatim how we said that it was going to go. It's going to end with Gunther. We said that this was a good decision. He can get a lot from this win. Now that it's over, and now that we see people chasing him in the streets, yelling at him, throwing stuff at the bus.
Call the police.
They had to he had to get a police escort to a tour bus to take him to wherever they're taking everybody. When he comes out on Raw, the building is literally shaking with the chorus of boos. Do you feel vindicated? Was this the right call?
Of course it was. Because who can capitalize on this level heat?
If you listen to the internet, they'll tell you. They'll throw names at. Let me throw some names at you that I've heard.
Let me stop you there.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
Stop you right there.
There is nothing, and you can read that list if you want. I'm fucking with you, but there isn't a name that comes out of your mouth right now that can work this level of heat. Gunther can right now. So I am actually curious who they said.
We've heard names like the one that Joe Pombo just brought up, LA Knight.
Yeah.
They said LA Knight would have really truly benefited from a win like that. Carmelo Hayes came up as an individual. It seemed like the two
more than LA Knight.
More you put Melo above LA Knight. All right. Another name that was brought up was The Miz.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
No, that goes to the bottom.
Shinsuke Nakamura was on that list. There's a lot of people saying that they probably should have shipped Randy back faster from Saudi Arabia, so Randy could have been the last match.
Solo Sikoa.
That wouldn't be that. No,
that would have been no on Solo.
No, Randy would have been more of like okay. What we're saying here is who could have used the rub. That's what we're saying, right? Because if that's what we're saying,
that's not what everybody is saying. That's what we're saying. If in the group of people who would have chosen a younger person, that's what they're saying. For the group of people that are choosing the older people, it's nostalgia. Oh, how can John's? It's like everybody who wanted Tony Khan to just lend WWE Edge for like a day.
Yeah.
So I'm not completely mad at Orton Cena, but I'm not mad at Orton anything. So, but when you talk about the other names that you just said, again, I don't think any of them really get a rub from it. Like, I don't think any of them have the same momentum that Gunther has right now.
Right.
So for the rub to work, this right here is going to fuel him for the next however long. He is going to run this into the ground, and he is going to piss people. You think it's going to settle down? No, he's going to make sure you remember this. That moment when you were truly in your heart upset and sad that your hero lost, he's never going to let you forget that. Like, that's the type of person that Gunther is.
And that's part of the reason why I love him for this choice so much. As I told my wife when we were watching it live, all this fellatio throughout the course of the whole night, Gunther made his entrance. And I looked at my wife and I said, you know what? Of all the people who did those videos, of all the people that were in that building, for the millions that were watching at home, the only person not marking out and not giving a teetotal shit about any of this is Gunther. This was John Cena's final match, and everybody was in a hullabaloo. To Gunther, it was Saturday. He didn't give a shit. About
I beat another guy. I beating the guys. I beat them all off.
It. Yeah, I beat them all off. Sometimes I beat them with one hand. Sometimes I beat them with two hands, but I beat them nonetheless.
Yes.
There was nothing that was going to keep Gunther from performing this match. Now, throughout the course of the match, I will admit, I saw some moments where Gunther looked a little out of place, but to be fair, I attribute that to the fact that John was calling the match, which is the right way to go about it. It is his last match.
When you said that, I was saying in my head, I think the match was not the fact that Gunther's a fast mover, but I feel like Gunther had to slow down for this.
And he has to listen a lot more than he's accustomed to listening to throughout the course of the match. There was a few moments when he took that protoplex down, and he's supposed to be taking the shoulder tackles, and Gunther was like, oh shit, and he gets back up. All right, here we go. Boom, shoulder tackle, boom, shoulder tackle. Here's the line. Whoops, back. Oh, and then here it comes. Come on, motherfucker. When he did 3 You Can't See Me's, I was like, this dude he's running out of shit to do.
No, he's just enjoying his way out, man.
It was more he everything that he does for fan interaction, he was just spamming, which is
Absolutely
phenomenal. And then
the tap.
and then the tap.
Tap.
Which I think Dave explained it the absolute best. That was the face of someone who just said,
tired, bro.
done.
I'm
Done.
I love this, but I'm done. I'm over it.
Done. So the big question now that we have at the end of this to tie it all up, John is no longer a part of WWE in the ring. He just recently re-signed a 5-year ambassador deal with WWE, so he'll still be making appearances as a WWE ambassador. But the big question, Triple H, right? I want to remind everybody, it wasn't that long ago where people were fucking begging for Triple H to take over the main roster, begging to take over the goddamn booking. They were so over Vince. Vince is so old. He's out of touch. The old man is going crazy. At the end of that match with John Cena, when they went to the post show, they were chanting, "We want Vince." Out loud. Yeah. And I have to take exception to the last one. If you want to say he fucked up, that's hilarious. You bald fuck. Kind of funny too. You guys were hitting it. Where I got to pump the brakes is we want Vince. Because no, you don't. You're just saying shit at this point. You don't want Vince back.
It would have ended the same way.
It would have ended the same way, exactly. Because the common denominator was Cena. Cena's gonna go out the way.
Not even just that, but I think even Vince is a traditional guy.
Yeah.
He
would have done the same thing.
He would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
Shitting on heads aside, he's a traditionalist at heart.
Yeah. Might have been who was he really big on? That Austin Theory? Might have been Austin Theory taking out John Cena instead of
Austin's busy. He just got revealed to be the masked man. To the chagrin and shock of absolutely nobody. But he appeared on TV and removed the mask. So he's doing stuff. Somebody
I must have gone to sleep.
Yeah, that happened.
I remember waking up and Stranger Things was on, so I must have definitely.
Netflix just went to the next thing.
Yeah, you want to watch more of the Stranger Things? Sure,
yeah. Will has powers now.
Yeah, look out,
squish. Yeah. Anyway, that's a topic for another fucking day. We got to do something with Stranger Things, my guy.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know you're watching, so now you're getting a 1 week later invite. Here we go.
I watch every episode. I was trying to get movie theater tickets, but they're all sold out.
Yeah, same here, bro. Same here.
So that's John Cena's final match. I'm glad that we were able to do that.
Mic drop. Wait a minute. This is too much. Cooking it like a pro. Wrap it up, everybody. Show's over.